What up, my fellow Knicks fans? This is your guy Marcellus Ease, and don't panic quite yet. Now, it's pretty rare for us Knicks fans to actually get a proper evaluation for what to expect of the Knicks. Looking at one of these media outlets is always usually funny, fun and games. They're usually joking around about the Knicks, never serious about really covering the team. And these guys right here, man, these fellas right here actually did a great job in reviewing the team. I'm just going to show you guys this, and I'm going to check in every once in a while to give you my opinions.
So just looking at this franchise, I mean, they didn't get plan A last season. They didn't get plan B. They wanted Zion with the lottery pick. They wanted maybe KD and Kyrie. They didn't get any of those guys. So now they're on plan C. We got to start at the top, address the elephant in the room. You saw him on the screen, James Dolan. Coach, I'm going to start with you. Is he the problem right now with the New York Knicks organization?
Let me just say this, man. James Dolan is not necessarily a problem with the Knicks organization. There's a lot of owners out here. They're not really willing to pay the luxury tax on some of these players. I don't know what's this narrative where James Dolan is the worst. At least he's willing to spend to win. There's teams right now that's competing that could have spent to win, but their owners chose not to. For example, the Milwaukee Bucks, they let Malcolm Brogdon go. The Indiana Pacers, the owner there have said multiple times he's not going over the luxury tax. That's one of the issues Larry Bird had while being president over there. That's why he left. You look at the situation in Oklahoma City, they're very cheap over there. They're not keeping their guys. They're not willing to spend in order to win. This narrative that James Dolan is the worst owner in sports, I mean, this guy's willing to spend money to win. He spent money on losing teams. This guy will go all out just to win. Is that, sometimes they don't go about it the right way, but he's definitely not the worst owner in sports.
Organization.
Man, I mean, people say that, but at the end of the day, I think James Dolan hadn't picked one player. I don't think James Dolan has sat on the bench and tried to coach a team. I don't think he's sitting on in his ivory tower coaching or moving guys around. I think at the end of the day, the Knicks have had some bad luck. They've also had some bad picks. Antonio knows this. Look, anybody can draft in the top half, the top 5 or top 10 in the draft. Where you make your mark in management is when you find those guys 15 and lower or in the second round. That's how you build out your roster. Look, as bad as the Knicks have been, I see the future starting to turn for them a little bit. One, they didn't get the number 1 pick in Zion Williams, but they got a really good player prospect in R.J. Barrett.
Mm-hmm. Yo, thank God for that. No Zion, thank God for that. You guys see how that's already going. Hey, availability sometimes is the best, slow and steady. RJ is looking like a pretty solid dude. Mindset is really good, man. This guy is very well grounded. And, he's not going to have that availability issue like Zion Williams. But thank God for that, because if we had Zion Williams, there'll be a lot of pressure for him to show back up on the court, rush through his injury, and perhaps get injured again. I mean, you never know with that guy.
So let's start with that. 2, when you look at this team, they finished last in the East last year, right? So right now, based on the signings, I don't know how all those pieces are going to fit, but I have the Knicks not finishing last, so that's a plus. When you look at Cleveland and Charlotte, they'll potentially have more talent than those teams. I think the Knicks are in the process where Scott Perry has to say, look, we're rebuilding now. They're hoping that R.J. Barrett is that corner piece. And some of the other guys that they've drafted in the past, Kevin Knox, they're hoping Dennis Smith Jr. finally plays up to the talent he has. So I think the future is starting to, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit, Antonio.
And the question is the fan base going to wait for that light at the end of the tunnel? Because sometimes I feel like management, they've had, in the past, bended over to the media and press and, the pressure of the fan base in order to, take a quick shortcut to put together some sort of winning team that's not going to last long.
They're not there yet. They're a long way away.
With all due respect.
We know what that means when someone says with all due
respect, you have nowhere to go but up.
Thank you.
You're talking about a team in the New York Knicks that had the worst record in the league last year. But what really stands out to me when you put the numbers up is the 6 head coaches. And it comes to a point as an organization that you have to show confidence in someone to implement their culture with these young teams, with these young guys you continue to draft. Because every time, and you know this, coach, every time you replace a coach, you're starting over. You're starting over as far as your franchise is concerned. You're starting over as far as your culture is concerned. You're starting over as far as your offensive and defensive schemes are concerned.
Shit, David Fizdale going to be looking like that all season. he's got to, like, he's definitely, I wouldn't say on the clock, but he's definitely going to be rated. He's not going to be on that curve this season. It's not going to be on that. We have young players mixed in with these unproven high lottery draft picks that didn't work out. The Knicks actually have talent. To see how he maneuvers through that, it's going to be, it's going to be a good thing to see this season.
You can't continue to start over. And my question to you two, with this team, whose team is this?
That's a great question.
Right now.
Well, as far as players go, that's still undecided. We know Coach Fizz has the range right now. Coach, you made up a good point earlier in the production meeting talking about the percentage of control a head coach has. So in building this roster, how much of a say do you feel like Coach Fizz has in picking these players?
Well, at the end of the day, you're going to have a say-so, but you have to remember now, as a coach, you're focused on coaching the players that you have. You're not out there on the road scouting players. And I used to say this to our scouting department all the time in the GM. My job is for me and the general manager in the scouting department, to sit down and identify our needs. Then let's look at the draft and try to anticipate where we're going to be picking and try to find a group of players that best fit what we're trying to accomplish within that group. After we identify the type of player, it's your job now to go find the right player. That's not my job because I'm coaching the team. I can't coach during the season and identify those players at the same time. So,
and it's funny he says that because I'm telling you, if that Frank Ntilikina and Dennis Smith Jr., especially Dennis Smith Jr., that situation does not work out at point guard this season, that may be the first position to get, readjusted.
When I look at this team and I look at what the Knicks are doing and stuff, I think they have the right guy in place now, Scott Perry. I think they're starting to make some of the right decisions, even with the free agents that they signed.
Fizdale as well.
They signed them to short deals.
Right.
So again, you're taking a crapshoot when you're going out there in free agency because they struck out this time. I would much rather build through the draft, the things that I can control, than trying to build my team through free agency where I have no control.
You talk about,
and that's the correct way. The fan base, I'm not sure if the fan base has, is used to that. That's the only thing. The media paints this narrative you can't rebuild in a major market. Yes, you can. Anytime you own any sports franchise in any sport, rebuilding is part of that process. But that's mainly how we're going to get good, is through rebuilding through the draft.
I built through the draft, and you asked whose team is this? A strong possibility it could be the third pick in this year's past draft. R.J. Barrett comes to the team. Of course, they wanted his teammate in Zion, but let's not forget R.J. led Duke in scoring last season. So is this the franchise cornerstone that can potentially be the player to turn the Knicks around?
I think it has to be. I think it has to be. When you think about R.J. Barrett, you're thinking about a guy, like you just said, that was projected when last year started to be the number one pick in the draft. And this is where the NBA is trending. If you have really, really good young players, regardless of your market size or whatever it may be, it's very easy to attract really good veteran players. You remember when they drafted Kristaps Porzingis, one of the things Kevin Durant said is it would be nice to go and play with him. So when you have young players that are really showing what they're capable of doing, and now you're a veteran player or a really good, even a max guy that's sitting out there and looking at a certain situation, seeing the market size of the Knicks, and R.J. Barrett becomes that star player, it makes New York, the Knicks, and that organization that much more attractive.
You definitely wanted to be there, Coach.
If I'm the Knicks, I want it to be R.J. Barrett.
Right.
Okay, to Antonio's point. But at the end of the day, as a coach, am I going to put him in position to give him every opportunity for him to become the face of the franchise? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, when we start playing games that count, the players are going to determine. Now, I'm going to direct the ball towards RJ. I'm going to put him in position on all my offensive sets. He's going to be one of the main guys, one of the focal points, and I'm going to give him every opportunity. Same thing we did in Minnesota when we had Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns. We would not allow them to fail because we understood we weren't going to make the playoffs that year. We weren't going to win 50 games. So if you're not going to win 50 games, start developing your players that you want that can be able to take you forward one day. And I think R.J. Barrett's that guy, and some of those other young guys, but at the end of the day, they got to step up and prove it.
We speak about those other young guys. Developing talent is so important. A couple of second-year players that they have on the Knicks roster right now. Kevin Knox comes in last season, of course, along with Trier and Robinson. Robinson, big-time player, patrol.
And by the way, for Alonzo Trier, this is a big year for him because next year he's going to be a restricted free agent. And teams are going to be looking at him, looking to pay that dude because offensively, this guy in isolation is a monster. It's just, you can't coach that. So teams are going to be looking to, to take Trier from us the same way they took Jeremy Lin. And, the Knicks, they got to see, what's his situation. They're going to have to find minutes for him, because if they don't, it looks like we might end up losing him for nothing, because other teams are going to take a chance on a guy like that.
Rolling the paint, rim protector, scary, athletic. Knox can score in bunches, along with Trier, who's never met a shot he never liked. Undrafted. So we're looking at these three prospects. Whose future is the brightest? Coach, I'll start with you.
Man, I coach Kevin Knox. Unbelievable talent. But the thing that concerns me about him, his coach on a couple of occasions last year talked about his motor, his playing hard. Can't have that. I'm going to be honest with you, I like Trier for this reason. I'd rather have a guy that I got to wind down, AD,
right,
than I got to wind up. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
I can control a guy that shoots too much and that never met a
you
shot
can tell
he
him
didn't
to
like.
stop shooting. It's hard to tell somebody
I can put him
to
on
be
that
aggressive.
bench.
Right.
I can break those bad habits. The habits I can't break are you being aggressive. Are you being passive? That's you. That's who you are. I can't change that. But that guy that shoots too much and runs around crazy and do all the crazy stuff, I can break him of those habits.
Okay,
Okay. With Kevin Knox, this season is going to be very telling for Knox. I mean, that Marcus Morris situation, he's going to have to, get in his ass. Knox is going to have to get in his ass and fucking take that position from Mr. Morris. He's going to have to take the position from the Knicks. Actually position him this way because they want him to want to knock Marquise out and take that position. He's going to have to show them something. I mean, unlike RJ, they position Knox a little differently this season with the signing of Marquise.
I'm going with Mitchell Robertson. And the reason I say that is because you look at guys that have had long, productive careers throughout the NBA that don't need the basketball. You look at the Tyson Chandlers. You look at the DeAndre Jordans. These guys that patrol the lane, that are very impactful on the defensive side of the ball, and they don't need the ball offensively. All right, I want you to patrol the paint. I want you to block shots. I want you to run. I want you to finish. And I want you to be athletic. Mitchell Robertson will be that for the next 10 to 15 years.
Bro. But he'll never be the highest paid player on the team. So that's what he can't do. He can't put the rock in the hole.
It's funny you said highest paid player because the guy on your screen is the highest paid player. He wasn't what the Knicks fans had in mind.
Dear New York, I'm on my way.
Right now. Come on.
Y'all ready to get this going? I am. This is exactly where I wanted to be. New York City. Basketball's greatest stage. This is where I wanted to perform. And I'm so excited I'm here. It's honestly a dream come true. I've been training all summer. I'm grinding. I'm putting in the hours. I promise you I'm ready. I'm ready to hear the Garden erupt. I'm ready to get out there. I'm ready to put on a show. I'm ready to call New York my home. I'm ready to ball out for this city. I promise you. New York forever. Julius.
Yo, this might be Magic Johnson's fuck up, but the Knicks can definitely come up on it, man. Because Magic Johnson let this guy go for nothing. I mean, in New Orleans, they knew their situation with AD and trying to get, into the Zion sweepstakes. But this guy last season with the Pelicans, especially with AD gone, he just, he did his thing. He barely played like 25 minutes a game. He was getting like 20 points, 10 rebounds. But, depending on how he develops, this could be a little steal for the Knicks.
Randall obviously putting in that work. You see how hard he works, worth every penny he signed for with the Knicks. But, Coach, we were talking about this before. He seems to have the hardest work ethic. He puts it all out on the floor. Why don't more contending teams want a player like this on the roster?
Because it's hard to evaluate him. His first year, he was hurt. His second year, he played for a coach that did not like playing young guys. And in his third year, he went off to a different team. Like, Magic, this is Magic Johnson's fuck up. He let him go for nothing. This guy has yet to find a home. New York is his first home, and this might be a come up for us, like I said.
Bro, man, that's something Antonio and I was in the back talking about. When you look at Julius Randle and the numbers that he has put up, man, he's gotten better every year. And as a coach or as an evaluator, I want to see a guy constantly getting better. And then when you look at his work ethic, and then you think about, I've never heard a bad thing about him from his teammates. I've never heard a bad thing about him in the media. And again, maybe the Knicks got lucky with Julius Randle. To me, when you look at what he does, his rebounding, and the thing I love about him, he creates contact. He gets to the foul line. And you want a guy that can get the other team front line in foul trouble because it changes how everyone plays. So when I look at Julius Randle, the Knicks may have found something because this kid works. He's getting better. He's big, strong, and athletic. And so why don't more contenders teams want him? I don't know, but I tell you what, the Knicks should be happy that they got him because when you look at the numbers he put up, he's going to do work for them.
And one of the things that he talked about earlier is he said it's not about pressure, it's about opportunity. And you know what has prepared Julius Randle for this opportunity? Last year when the situation went down in New Orleans with Anthony Davis, it gave him an opportunity to become a 1A or a 1B option in New Orleans.
Exactly. This guy nailed it right in the head. And he was definitely that he was that 1B because what's his name? The shooting guard in New Orleans. He was doing his thing. The one that used to play for Philadelphia.
So now he knows what it's like for an offense to run through him. So when Anthony Davis
Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday was the 1A. He was the 1B. He was doing his thing though.
Was out the lineup last year in New Orleans. That was Drew Holiday's team. But it was also Julius Randle's team. And that's what got him that 3-year, $63 million contract that he has today.
You know, it's going to be real interesting to see because we know the lights are kind of bright in New Orleans, but they're much brighter in New York City as he becomes the primary option. Now, you know what they say, when you have three, you don't necessarily have one. So do the Knicks have their future point guard on the roster with the three that they have now in the positions? You have Coach, I'll go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and address Dennis Smith Jr. because you pointed something out, Antonio, about his body language earlier in the program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has to stay in shape, and he got to, stay off that injury list.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, well, my thing with Dennis Smith Jr., his disposition thus far when we saw the.
Hold on, you saw that confusion there before they started talking about him. That's the same confusion a lot of us get from Dennis Smith Jr. It's like, he doesn't really shoot well. He doesn't really play defense. You can't really say he's a point guard. He's like in this gray area. But hopefully this season, with him being in better shape, losing some weight, and then he reworked his shooting formation. And, the fact that he's in better shape, he could play more consistent defense. All these things have to gel in together, man, for this guy to actually have some sort of identity. Because right now, he's just an athletic freak.
The interviews was a little bit different. It was a little different. And if I'm Dennis Smith Jr. right now, my thought process, earlier we asked whose team is it? My thought process is I'm Dennis Smith Jr. is to not get Luka again. Ooh. In Dallas. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. What happened, he's in Dallas and he gets injured. The moment he gets injured, Rick Carlisle puts the ball in Luka's hands and he hasn't looked back since. So now if I'm Dennis Smith Jr., I'm coming to a new situation. They have another high draft pick in R.J. Barrett. They have Elfrid Payton. They have a lot of young talent around. So now if I'm Dennis Smith Jr., I'm coming in with a completely different mentality. The more you're in this league, the more you understand the business side of things. And you want to see a more mature Dennis Smith Jr. now moving on in his career.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that man's rookie extension is coming up soon. Mentally, hopefully that didn't fuck him over, him losing his job like that. And then R.J. Barrett is actually in the same position as Luka was. So hopefully, this plays out pretty well because the Knicks could use both of these guys.
Look, I like the fact that he's saying all the right things. He's in his third year. And I think the problem the NBA has, a lot of teams have, when you draft a guy at 19 and give him a bunch of money, Antonio said something. He's just he's still 19 with a bunch of money. You think because he's 19 and you give him all this money, he's going to go from 19 to 25. Okay? So first of all, these kids don't know how to sleep right, eat right, or do anything right because they're 19. I think for Dennis Smith, the conversation, if I was his coach and GM, I would have with him, instead of trying to be their man, why don't you try to be a part of a team?
Right.
Okay,
right.
And what I mean by that, your talent is going to dictate the pecking order. But we just took a guy, number 3 in R.J. Barrett, that we think we can build with. We took a guy in the lottery in Kevin Knox we think we can build with. Things didn't work out in Dallas, but we know your talent. You are a first-round lottery pick. So let's just, instead of coming in here trying to be the man, let's see, can you be the point guard to bring all this different talent together with Julius Randle and some of these veterans and young guys and bring us together and let's shock the NBA. Not saying we have to make the playoffs, but if we win 30, 32 games, that will prove what kind of leader and point guard you can be because,
That's
again,
a great point.
It all starts, as a former point guard, you know this. Everything starts with that point guard. That's your quarterback. And if he don't get it done or can't run your team or orchestrate your defense, you're not going to win.
Well, you speak about.
Well, if you don't get it done, we all know Scott Perry has his own man, and that's Alfred Payton. That's the Scott Perry player, man, back in Orlando. Best believe that.
Getting it done. We know that Alfred Payton has had multiple opportunities in Orlando and New Orleans. Now he comes to New York. What are his chances? He has plenty of talent. 5 straight triple-doubles at one point last season. He has all the goods, but can he be the man?
Yo, speaking of that, 5 straight triple-doubles. Last season when Drew Holiday at the end of the year went out, Alfred Payton came back from injury. And you know New Orleans Pelicans, they play at the fastest pace in the league. This guy was getting like 17 assists a game. He was killing. I mean, he made, he was trying to get that contract, but I mean, he was doing his thing at the end of the season. So he definitely could be a floor general. He needs to work on his jumper to get it more consistent, but he's proven he could be a floor general as far as, controlling the pace of the game and having, good vision to get guys buckets.
Well, it depends on what you mean by the man. The man that helps bring this team together? Yes, because Alfred Payton is a guy that doesn't care about scoring. And what I like about young point guards like him is he can impact the game without scoring. So he's similar to Rondo in different ways, what he brought to the Pelicans. And, triple-double after triple-double after triple-double. 10 points, 11 rebounds, 12 assists. That kind of guy. So can he be the man? I don't know what that means. But as far as bringing the man that Coach just talked about, that can bring this team together, that really doesn't have a selfish bone in his body, that's not concerned with being paid, that's just concerned with winning games, Alfred Payton can be that guy.
So the guy that they affectionately call Frankie Smokes, the French Prince, Frank Ntilikina, had a great, FIBA tournament. Now, can he translate that success he had in that tournament and bring it to the Knicks?
I just want to say Frank definitely got his extension. It's good to see that the Knicks re-up on Frank. They're probably going to have his bird rights now. But Frank has been more confident, and especially with him now getting this, his bag pretty much secured. Hopefully, he can just ease into the season a lot better and keep showing us some more of that confidence.
He could, because when I played in Europe, man, it's not that I played against other NBA players. I had confidence. I had great success in Europe, which gave me confidence. So when I came to the NBA, instead of thinking about all of a sudden I'm playing against NBA players, I had confidence. If Frank can translate what he did this summer and bring it to the Knicks, first of all, it's going to be difficult for him.
Right.
The guy that drafted him, that fell in love with him, Phil Jackson, is at home with his feet up right now. So he's got to prove that he's that guy. And think about it. If I don't draft you, I'm going to give my picks to first choice or the guys that I signed in free agency first choice. He's got to lean on his defense. He's got to lean on being tough. And again, to Antonio's point, the point guard that's going.
And when the Knicks mentioned, R.J. Barrett could be, when David Fizdale mentioned that R.J. Barrett could potentially get some minutes at point guard, that was pretty much a shot at Frank and Dennis Smith Jr.
Going to be the most valuable for the Knicks is the guy that can bring all these loose and talented guys together and lead them, not necessarily the guy that's going to be the leading scorer.
Indeed, indeed. Well, hey, he was close to having all the churros in San Antonio. He had a change of heart and find himself in the New York state of mind. Marcus Morris and the rest of the Knicks power forwards on the depth chart. We look at that next on the team preview. What you have is an interesting mix of seasoned veterans along with players with 3 years experience or less. Steve Mills, Scott Perry, the architects, providing the tools for Coach Fitz.
Damn, David Fizdale got some work ahead of him, boy. Ooh, I don't know how the hell he's going to manage these minutes. You got some young guys that really need minutes like Trier. It's because of contract situations.
He'll be able to utilize for the foundation of the Knicks. So obviously there is a log jam at the 4, Taj Gibson, Bobby Portis, Marcus Morris, Julius Randle. So we see Marcus Morris come over to the Knicks, had an opportunity with San Antonio he passed up on. How does he fit in? Is he going to come off the bench for the Knicks?
We were just talking about this. This is tough because I can't see the Knicks actually starting Marcus Morris and sitting Knox. Knox is your...
Oh, yeah, they will. They will start Marcus Morris Because at the end of the day, they want Kevin Knox to take that shit from Marcus Morris. They see it as they put Kevin Knox in position last season to thrive. They gave him minutes probably when he'd even earn it. And this season, they want him to punch Marcus Morris in the face and take that position from him.
Your future.
Lottery pick.
Right, he's a lottery pick. That's the guy you want to build around as far as your future is concerned. So that would be difficult. But then you start to think to yourself, if I'm Marcus Morris, why do I sign with the New York Knicks to come off the bench for a team that's not even going to make the playoffs?
Because they told him they're just going to give it to him, man. It's clearly obvious. They're going to give him the position. They want pretty much Marcus to light some fire underneath Kevin Knox's ass. They don't see that spark. They want to see that upside from Kevin Knox.
When I have an opportunity to go to San Antonio and play and maybe come off the bench against a team that will remain relevant. So it's different questions that you have to look at and ask if you're Marcus Morris. But with all that being said, with this team, he's a good fit. You look at what he brings. He brings toughness. He brings the ability to space the floor. And he's going to bring a different kind of leadership, a voice in that locker room that may not be present right now.
Another veteran in Portis is going to be added to that Knicks team. What does he bring to the franchise?
I like Bobby Portis. I liked him in Chicago. And first of all, the young fella just need to let that little fight go.
Yo, you talk about Bobby P, man? Bobby P, yo, he doesn't play, man. This guy is going to be like a fucking Charles Oakley this season.
And he knocked somebody. That happened every day in the NBA.
That little fight?
And if you were going to punish me, I knocked out a lot of teammates throughout my career. But at the end of the day, look, I think Bobby Portis is going to be able to play some stretch five for them. Obviously, this young man, to me, is talented. He's never really got a chance to really show his stuff. And I think he's thinking, being in New York, yeah, we may not win the East, we may not make the playoffs, but I'm going to have an opportunity to prove that I'm a two-position player. I can play that small five position. I'm a power forward. I can stretch the defense by stepping out, shooting the three. I can take guys off the dribble. I can create opportunities for my teammates. So I'm a Bobby Portis fan. The thing about it, are the Knicks going to give these young players an opportunity? Because when you mix veteran players with young players, that can be tenuous a little bit, but the coach, Fizdale's got to define roles. And again, to your point, it makes no sense, unless we're going to be a playoff team, to start Morris over Kevin Knox. It just doesn't make sense.
You know, I just realized if anything happened to Mitchell Robinson and he gets hurt or something just for a little bit or whatever, you know, Bobby Portis at backup center, I mean, the Knicks are really small. Rebounding might be a issue for us this season. But, I mean, with Bobby Portis, if he makes smarter decisions and the Knicks are more efficient with him on the court, he could be on the Knicks for a while because, you know, he definitely has upside. That's pretty much it. But it doesn't look like Mitchell Robinson is going to be playing in the first game against San Antonio, but we'll see what happens. You guys stay safe. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Peace.